Hi. Okay, welcome to part 6 of how to climb out of our pit of sin. So God told me one day audibly, it was really cool. I was praying to understand how to follow God's will and to climb out of my pit. And God said clearly and audibly, I am going to explain this to you in such a way that any grade school child could understand. And I was so excited to hear what was going to come next. And then he said, this was basically, you guys, this is an analogy that God gave me that worked for me. So I just want to preface this for you. It may not work for you, so that's okay. God talks to me from my understanding. I'm just sharing it with you. If it helps you, great. If it doesn't, just bring it to God and ask him to explain his principles to you in a way that you can understand. Because I'm about to give you something that some people might not like, this concept that he gave me, but it worked for me. So basically, God told me that we're all graded like as if we're in a classroom and taking tests. We're all being tested constantly throughout our walk with God, and we're being graded on everything we do. It's not that anyone's trying to be like to I don't know. It's not a cold, hard grading system or anything. There's a lot of love and mercy and compassion and patience in this classroom, but we're still being graded how loving, merciful, compassionate, and patient we are with others. So if we're loving, compassionate, patient, and forgiving towards others, we are graded. We receive a much higher grade in our classroom than if we're harsh with others. Then we get graded lower. Our grade is lower. Okay, so that's the overall theme of the classroom, is how loving and sacrificing and caring and forgiving can we be. That's like the foundation for the whole thing. The second thing is, how humble are we to listen to God's will and to actually strive with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength to be nothing so that God can work through us. Like, how much do we want that is really how we're graded. So those are the foundations for how we're graded. If we really, really want to serve God and we're just struggling to do it, but we're like desperately seeking to humble ourselves so that God can use us, and we really, really want to love others and forgive them no matter what they do, and we always strive with all of our heart to do that, and we fight our own flesh to do it, then we get a really good grade in the classroom no matter what else we do. Even if we do bad things periodically, we get a better grade than anyone else in the classroom if we do that. Okay, so that's the basis of the grading system. But God does grade us on other things that we do wrong. So we are graded, but it's just that, you know how like in a classroom, certain tests are worth more of your grade than others? Like certain quizzes and tests, like a test could be worth half your grade, whereas a quiz could be worth only 10% of your grade. So it varies depending on the quiz or the test, right? So it's like that in God's classroom. Certain tests are worth more. If you pass them, you get a better grade. And certain ones are smaller and they're less important in your overall grade. And so essentially, this is what God showed me. His grading system is complex, you guys, and there's no way that I could ever understand all of it. And he didn't want me to. But I was begging for more information on how to serve him, and he just gave me kind of a taste of it. So you're not going to be able to grade yourself, he said. He said you wouldn't be able to grade yourself, and you wouldn't be able to grade anyone else. So don't even try. He said, I'm just giving you an understanding of how I think. So it's not that he wants us to try to grade ourselves and figure out every day, where we're at. He just wants us to understand that we are being tested. We are being graded on these things. And so he gave me he actually gave me a really cool example of things I was graded on and what grade level I got. And he ran through about 20 examples for me. And he said, when you did this, this is the grade you got. When you did that, this is the grade you got. And he gave me a really clear understanding of why I got an A grade on certain things and why I got a C grade on other things and why I got an F on other things. He said, it's not always what you think. So there was something that I did that was bad, and I thought I would have got an F grade in my life at that time. And he said, no, you didn't get an F because you were sacrificing yourself for others at that time. So even though you were doing this bad thing during that time in your life, you were also sacrificing a lot of your time and energy for others, even without any reward from me or them. So because you did this bad thing, you would have gotten an F. But since you sacrificed so much, you actually got a C. And so I was like, oh, okay. So he showed me how the grading system works just in general. And what he said was, he said this, and this is so important, you guys. He said, you have to get a solid B in my classroom. B for boy, by the way. B. You have to get a solid B in my classroom in order to come to live with me for eternity in heaven. You will not make it to heaven if you do not get a B. And it has to be a B average over the course of a particular time period. So let's say you become a Christian and Christ comes back 2 weeks later. During that 2 weeks that you're a Christian, you are graded on average overall for that time. So if you pour your whole heart and soul into God for the 2 weeks, you'll get at least a B, even if you sin a little bit. But if you don't pour your whole heart and soul, you will not make it. You won't get a B, even if you don't sin at all. So that's the crucial thing here. And so that's why God says in the Bible that if we're lukewarm, he'll spit us out of his mouth. So we can't be lukewarm. We have to be on fire for God in order to get a B or an A in his classroom. So God told me that you have to get a solid B. That means 85% of your energy, time, energy, and thoughts and actions and words, okay? The 85% of your thoughts and your words and your actions have to be devoted to doing what you think God would like, or at least that would not bother God, would not hurt God, would not hurt others. So 85% of the time, whatever comes out of your mouth or you do with your body needs to be pleasing to God. Now, if you do a little bit of things during your day which are not exactly perfect, it's okay, as long as you got at least 85% sacrificing for God. And so this is just a B. This is what the B letter grade means. And he said, this is not for you to figure out. And nobody could figure out exactly what percentage they're at because it's impossible for a human mind. But he just wanted us to have a general overview. And so that means that if you're awake 16 hours a day, if you're out of bed 16 hours a day, that out of that 16 hours, I don't know what 85% of that is, but I'm not really like great at math, but let's just say it's around 13 hours, something like that. So around 13 hours out of that time, your thoughts have to be in service to God. So whatever you're doing, you give it to God. God, this is I'm giving this to you, however you want me to live it, my life. Talk to this person, write this letter, look for a job, whatever you're doing, God, this is yours. You tell me what to do. And then for like a few hours out of the whole day, you could be like off in your own head, thinking your own thoughts, doing whatever you want to do, forgetting about God. So you can forget about God a little bit. But if you forget about God more than 15% of your day, what God showed me is that it tends to make you start to sin more and more. So the fact that you're forgetting about God and just like ignoring him, it starts to pull you away from him faster and faster as you go along. And it will pull you into sin. And you definitely will not be putting him first or loving him with all your heart. And you definitely won't be putting others equal to yourself and loving them either. So essentially, you have to stay focused on God at least 85% in order to avoid really hurting God or others. And that's just what is needed. So God said, it's important that you stay up in the A range so that you have a little wiggle room, because a lot of times if you're at the 85%, let's say you're at the B level, it's really easy to slip down into the C range, C grade range. And if you do slip down below that 85%, you will not make it to heaven if Jesus comes. Now, I don't want you to be upset with me. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not saying, I don't know. I just want you to say, I want to say this is what God gave me. So pray to him for him to give you clarification on this, because God talks to everyone differently, but it made sense to me. It worked for me. It helped me understand that I can only forget about God for a few hours a day max before I start to sin, and before God will not accept me as a worthy person in heaven. And that when Jesus comes back, we need to be at least at a B grade level or more. God also told me that you want to make sure you're in the A range, meaning 95% of your time is focused on me. He said, obviously you're having a hard time. You're on the earth. This is not a quote from him, by the way, just what he said in general. He's basically saying, look, I know you're a human being. I know it's hard for you not to sin. I know you have all these habits and all this wickedness. So it's okay. Don't worry if you're not perfect, but just strive as hard as you can. If you strive as hard as you can be in the A range. And that's a safer place to be than the B range, because if you're in the B range, it's easy to slip down below that. Like really fast. Satan just comes in, takes your weakness, and boom, you forget all about God. And so God was really clear with me that we have to, with all of our hearts and strengths, we have to stay at the 90 to 95 percentile range, because there are times where things are going to happen to shock us, and we're going to forget about God. We're going to go into fear. We're going to go into survival, and so we want to make sure we're habitually practiced. Our skills are up. Like we have to practice our skills to stay at the A range all the time. And God even said that there were times where I got an A plus, because I went above and beyond what I was required to do to be a Christian, to care for others or to care for God, to try to sacrifice myself. So when we get an A plus, of course that helps you, because then there's times where you're getting a C through sin or, maybe being selfish with somebody. So you need those A pluses to balance out your grade. And that's essentially what God was telling me. Look, you need to sacrifice yourself for others. Go above and beyond to sacrifice yourself for others, so that you are always maintaining a good grade in my classroom. So do your A plus assignments, so that if you do get a C at some point, you can balance out yourself, balance your commitment out and make sure you stay at the B level overall. And so anyway, that's how he explained it to me. It really helped me. I hope it helps you. If it doesn't help you, but like I said, bring it to God. He'll tell it to you a whole different way that works for you, because that's how he is. He's really nice and loving and kind, and he likes to work with you the way that you are. And this is the way that I am. I think this way, and he really helped me. And so I just want you to know, you're not saved by being a Christian. You're saved by the percentage of energy and time you put into serving God and others. That's really how you're saved. That's really what I'm saying here, what God is saying to me, and I'm wanting him to speak through me to you. So thank you so much for listening, you guys. I'm so excited about all this. God is so nice. He's so nice, and I'm so not worthy. There's nothing I've ever done to deserve this, and you don't have to deserve God to love you and give you information and wisdom. You just have to seek it with all your heart. Just seek God to show you more, and just keep asking and pushing and sacrifice your time and energy to ask him for more. And then if you do that, he'll give you more. You don't have to be worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm so not worthy for this knowledge. And that's the beautiful thing about God. We don't have to be worthy of him helping us. We just have to want him to help us, and we have to be willing to sacrifice our will for him and just lay our life down for him. That's really the main thing that he wants us to know. I love you all, and I'll see you in part 7.